There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight you're carrying feels heavier than anything you've ever held before. It might be stress, disappointment, heartbreak, financial struggle, family pressure, or simply that voice inside your head that keeps whispering that you're not enough. But if there's one thing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has lived, not just said, it's that those moments, the ones where your back is against the wall and you feel close to breaking, can become the exact fuel that transforms you. Turning pain into power isn't a motivational slogan. It's a survival skill. It's a mindset. It's a decision to take everything that tried to destroy you and turn it into the very reason you rise. Pain comes in different forms, and it doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it shows up as failure, sometimes as betrayal, sometimes as exhaustion so deep that even waking up feels like a battle. But pain also tells the truth. It tells you where you're weak, where you need to grow, where you've been avoiding the hard work. When The Rock talks about starting from nothing, about having only $7 in his pocket, what he's really describing is a season of pain, a season of loss, a season where he had every reason to give up, but chose not to. He made a decision to own his pain, and by owning it, he controlled it instead of letting it control him. Turning your pain into power means refusing to let the struggle be the end of your story. It means taking the heartbreak and using it to sharpen your focus, taking the rejection and letting it fuel your hunger, taking the failures and studying them so deeply that they become your blueprint for success. When life punches you, you don't step back. You step forward with more clarity, more intention, more determination. Pain has a way of stripping away the unnecessary. When everything hurts, you start to realize what truly matters, and that clarity is powerful. Most people run from pain. They avoid difficult conversations, uncomfortable growth, and challenges that expose their weaknesses. But the ones who rise, the ones who succeed on a level others only dream about, are the ones who run toward the fire, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand what suffering builds. Pain builds discipline. Pain builds resilience. Pain builds patience, humility, and mental toughness. Pain teaches you to adapt, to think differently, to fight harder. It teaches you who you really are when no one is watching and you have no one to impress. Think about the moments when you were truly tested, not the easy days, not the comfortable ones, but the moments where you felt like your whole life was falling apart. Look back at those moments honestly. Didn't you grow? Didn't you learn something about yourself you would have never learned otherwise? Didn't you become stronger? Not because you wanted to, but because you had no choice? That's what pain does. It becomes the sculptor. And you become the sculpture, shaped, sharpened, and forged into something stronger than before. Turning pain into power is not about pretending everything is fine. It's not about being emotionless or acting like nothing hurts you. It's about acknowledging the reality of your struggle while refusing to surrender to it. It's about saying, yes, this hurts, but it will not break me. It's about holding your ground when everything in you wants to run. It's about believing, sometimes blindly, that the version of you on the other side of this pain will be worth fighting for. Some days, the fight feels impossible. You'll ask yourself why you're trying, why you're pushing, why you're holding on when the progress seems slow and the reward feels far away. But those are the days you must keep going, because the pain you're feeling now is not punishment, it's preparation. Everything you want, success, peace, confidence, fulfillment, requires strength you don't have yet. And the only way to build that strength is to go through the fire. You may feel tired, you may feel defeated, you may feel like the world is moving without you. But listen to this, you are not behind, you are being prepared. Every struggle is giving you a tool you'll need later. Every loss is teaching you how to win. Every setback is redirecting you to something bigger. You're being shaped in ways you can't see yet. And someday you will look back and realize that the pain you hated was the path you needed. You have two choices. Let the pain drain you or let it drive you. One keeps you stuck. The other pushes you forward. When you choose to turn pain into power, you transform your mindset from victim to fighter, from doubter to believer, from lost to unstoppable. You begin to walk differently, think differently, speak differently. You become someone who no longer fears struggle because you understand its purpose. You no longer avoid challenges because you know they're shaping you. You no longer break down in the face of adversity because you've learned that every breakdown carries a breakthrough inside. Your pain is not the end. It's the beginning of a new version of you. Stronger, wiser, hungrier. The power you're looking for is already inside you. It's hidden within the very battles you're fighting. Use them. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for life to get easier. It won't, but you will get stronger. You will rise. You will build your power from the pieces of what tried to break you. And when you do, you'll look back at this moment, the moment you chose to keep fighting, and realize it changed everything. There comes a point in every journey where motivation isn't enough, where inspiration fades, where the excitement you once felt turns into routine, and routine becomes hard. This is where most people fall off. This is where dreams quietly die, but this is also where champions are made. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson didn't rise to global success because he was the most talented or the most naturally gifted. He rose because discipline became his superpower. When the motivation wasn't there, he still showed up. When the crowd wasn't cheering, he still worked. When he didn't feel strong, he still committed to the process. Discipline is what separates those who want it from those who achieve it. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about being strict, being harsh, being robotic. But true discipline is love. Love for your future self, love for your purpose, love for the vision you're building. It's choosing what you want most over what you want right now. The Rock talks often about being the hardest worker in the room, not because he was born that way, but because he trained himself to become that. Discipline transformed him, and the same power is available to you. Think about the goals you've set in your life. Getting in shape, building a business, improving your mindset, creating a better life for your family. All great things, but greatness is expensive. It demands daily payment. You don't pay once, you pay every single day. Some days you'll have the energy, some days you won't. Some days you'll feel unstoppable, others you'll feel defeated. But discipline is what keeps you moving forward when everything inside you wants to quit. Discipline whispers, I don't care how you feel. We're doing this anyway.
The truth is, your feelings are temporary. They change with the weather, the time of day, your stress levels, your circumstances. You cannot build your life on something so unpredictable.
But discipline? Discipline is steady. Discipline is reliable. Discipline is your anchor in the storm and your engine in the calm. It keeps you locked in when motivation leaves. It keeps you focused when distractions rise. It keeps you consistent when progress is slow. There will be days when you wake up and don't want to move. When you're tired, overwhelmed, doubtful. Days when progress feels invisible. Those are the critical days. Those are the days where discipline must carry you. Because discipline doesn't care about your mood. It cares about your commitment. And the powerful thing is this: every time you show up when you don't want to, you're building a stronger version of yourself. You're training your mind to follow your decisions, not your emotions. That is a level of mastery most never reach. Discipline also protects you. It protects your dreams from being destroyed by short-term thinking. It protects your potential from being wasted on laziness or excuses. It protects your confidence, because every disciplined action becomes evidence that you are capable, strong, and reliable. One disciplined day leads to another. One disciplined choice creates a chain reaction. Confidence grows not from success, but from keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say, I'm going to do this, and you actually follow through, you build self-trust. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. But discipline isn't something you wake up with, it's something you build, brick by brick, step by step. You start small. You do the thing you said you would do. You resist the urge to quit. You stay consistent long enough to see results. And once the results appear, discipline becomes easier because now you can see the payoff. The Rock didn't start by being a machine in the gym. He built that identity over years. Early mornings, late nights, relentless repetition. It didn't happen because he felt good every day. It happened because discipline made him show up regardless. Your life will change the moment you stop negotiating with yourself. The moment you stop giving yourself easy outs. The moment you stop letting your emotions decide your actions. When you wake up and say, I don't feel like it, but I'm doing it anyway, everything changes. That is discipline. That is power. That is how winners are made. Discipline is also the cure for doubt. When you're disciplined, you don't have time to overthink, to second guess, to fear failure. You're too busy working. You're too focused on the process. You're too committed to your mission. And eventually the work pays off. Slowly at first, then suddenly all at once. Opportunities appear, strength builds, confidence rises, life shifts. But none of it happens without discipline. Even in moments of pressure and uncertainty, discipline keeps you grounded. When life hits you with setbacks, discipline allows you to respond instead of collapse. It keeps you moving forward through obstacles that would break the average person. It turns adversity into training. It turns struggle into stamina. It turns challenges into chapters of your story instead of endpoints. The Rock's entire message comes down to this: discipline is the real superpower. because it's something every person can develop. You don't need money to have discipline. You don't need connections to have discipline. You don't need talent, approval, permission, or perfect conditions. Discipline is built through action, repetition, and commitment. It's earned by doing the work day after day, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's boring, even when it's difficult. If you want a different life, you don't need to wait for inspiration. You don't need to wait for a sign. You need to start building discipline. The discipline to wake up earlier. The discipline to train when you're tired. The discipline to keep going when you don't see results. The discipline to stay focused when the world is full of noise. The discipline to keep promises to yourself. Because once you have discipline, your life is no longer controlled by excuses, emotions, or circumstances. You become the driver. You become the force. You become the one who determines your future. Discipline isn't just a habit, it's a weapon. And when you master it, there is nothing you cannot achieve. There comes a point in your journey where doubt and fear become louder than your ambition. You start to question whether you're capable, whether you're strong enough, whether you're making any progress at all. You compare yourself to others, you look at their pace, their success, their confidence, and you begin to feel behind. But the Rock's message hits a truth most people don't want to face. You can outwork the doubt, and you can outwork the fear. Not by pretending they don't exist, not by trying to silence them instantly, but by showing up again and again until your actions speak louder than the voices in your head. Doubt is normal, fear is normal. Every person who ever achieved something meaningful had to wrestle with uncertainty. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't that successful people feel confident all the time. They don't. Difference is that they move anyway. They take action despite the fear. They put in the work when their mind is filled with noise. They chip away at the wall standing between them and their goals. The Rock knows what it feels like to be unsure, to start from scratch, to wonder if the effort will ever pay off. But he also knows this: when doubt rises, your work must rise higher. Outworking doubt means proving to yourself, through repetition and effort, that you are capable. It means taking your insecurities and burying them under discipline. It means building evidence every single day that you're not who your fear says you are. You're who your actions say you are. When you show up consistently, when you grind through discomfort, when you stay committed, even on the days you feel weak, you are building a mountain of proof that you can do hard things. Fear thrives in inaction. The more you avoid something, the stronger the fear becomes. The more you hesitate, the louder the doubt grows. But the moment you take that step, the moment you begin, the power shifts. Action is the antidote to fear. You don't need to feel confident to start. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need a flawless plan. Just need to begin. And every time you take action, fear loses a little more control over your life. Many people mistakenly believe they must wait until the fear goes away to move forward. But fear doesn't disappear before the action. It disappears because of the action. Think of every great moment in your life. Rarely did you walk into it without nerves or uncertainty. You acted first, the confidence came after. You aligned your behavior with your goals, not with your doubts. That is what creates strength. Outworking fear is not about being fearless, it's about being courageous. Fearlessness is a myth. Courage is real. Courage is doing the thing anyway. Courage is pushing when you want to stop. Courage is continuing to show up when your mind is screaming for you to quit. Courage is understanding that fear might walk with you, but it doesn't get to lead you. Doubt and fear often magnify when you step into bigger goals. That's a sign you're growing. When your dreams expand, so do the challenges, but instead of retreating, you must rise to meet them. The Rock didn't walk into wrestling, acting, or business without pressure. He faced criticism, rejection, uncertainty, and expectations that could break the average person. But he didn't shrink. He didn't let fear dictate his choices. He outworked every bit of doubt thrown at him by focusing relentlessly on the process. One day, one rep, one moment at a time. The truth is, no matter how hard you work, there will still be people who doubt you. There will still be moments when fear tries to take over, but neither of those things can stop you unless you let them. Doubt only has power if you believe it. Fear only wins if you avoid the work. When you commit to consistently outworking fear, you gain control over your life. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Imagine what would happen if every time you felt doubt, you took action. Instead of freezing, you moved. Instead of second-guessing, you worked. Instead of spiraling mentally, you grounded yourself in effort. Over time, this creates a new identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't crumble under pressure, someone who doesn't run from challenges, someone who doesn't let fear shape their future. You become someone unstoppable. There is power in outworking doubt because work creates momentum, and momentum creates belief. You start stacking small victories, waking up earlier, finishing the workout, completing the task, sticking to your routine. These small wins accumulate. They expand your confidence. They shrink your fear. They remind you that progress isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and built over time. When you're working hard, you're too focused to be consumed by fear. When your energy is invested into growth, you have less energy to waste on overthinking. When you're locked into your mission, fear becomes background noise instead of the main voice. Outworking fear means giving more attention to your goals than to your anxieties. But here's the deeper truth. Every time you outwork doubt and fear, you're not just building momentum, you're building character. You are shaping a version of yourself that can handle adversity without falling apart. You're developing the mental strength necessary to pursue your biggest dreams. You're proving to yourself that you don't back down when life tests you. You rise, and that is what separates winners from quitters. Winners feel fear but act anyway. Quitters feel fear and stop. Winners hear the doubt but refuse to believe it. Quitters hear the doubt and let it become their reality. The Rock became who he is because he chose the first path, the one filled with work, discipline, discomfort, and growth. Your journey will demand the same from you. There will be moments when you feel lost, moments when you question everything, moments when fear tries to convince you that you're not capable. But in those moments, you must work, you must rise, you must push, because the work you do in the dark is what prepares you for your breakthrough. You have the ability to outwork every doubt, every fear, every obstacle standing in your way. Don't wait for the confidence to come. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. Don't wait for anyone's permission. Start moving, start working, start proving to yourself day after day that you are stronger than your doubts and bigger than your fears. The future belongs to the one who keeps working, even with shaking hands, even with a racing heart, even with a mind full of questions. Keep going, keep grinding, keep rising. The fear will fade, the doubt will weaken. But your strength? That will last forever. Pressure is something everyone tries to avoid. People fear it, complain about it, and see it as a sign that life is too heavy. But pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is the force that transforms you. When Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson speaks about pressure, he talks about it as a privilege, a responsibility, a sign that you're doing something meaningful. Pressure is what shapes warriors. It's what takes ordinary people and molds them into individuals with grit, depth, resilience, and the kind of inner power that can't be taught in comfort. When life applies pressure, it isn't trying to crush you. It's giving you the environment to grow into the strongest version of yourself. Most people don't realize that pressure is an indicator of potential. You don't feel pressure over things that don't matter. You don't feel pressure over small dreams or small responsibilities. You only feel pressure when something is important. Your family, your future, your goals, your identity. The pressure you feel is a sign that you are stepping into bigger shoes. It means life is demanding a stronger version of you, and that's a gift. When you try to avoid pressure, you avoid growth. When you embrace pressure, you open the door to transformation. Pressure also reveals who you truly are. When things are easy, anyone can smile, anyone can stay calm, anyone can seem strong. But what happens when the weight gets heavy? What happens when the expectations rise, when the deadlines tighten, when adversity shows up without warning? That's when your character emerges. Pressure strips away illusions and exposes the truth. It shows you your strengths, your weaknesses, your habits, and your heart. And once you see yourself clearly, you can begin to change. Pressure becomes the teacher that comfort never could be. Many people crumble under pressure not because the pressure is too big, but because their mindset is too small. They see pressure as punishment. They think it means they're not capable. They let stress consume them instead of letting focus guide them. But warriors, real warriors, use pressure differently. They step into it. They breathe through it. They allow it to sharpen them. They understand that diamonds are formed through extreme pressure. Steel is forged through intense heat. Champions are built through tough conditions, so instead of running from the weight, they pick it up and grow stronger beneath it. One of the reasons pressure is so powerful is because it forces you to stretch beyond your limits. Growth doesn't happen from repeating what you already know. It comes from stepping into the unknown, into responsibilities that scare you, goals that exceed your comfort zone, and challenges that require more than your current level. The Rock often mentions how pressure shaped him in his early days, getting cut from football, having only $7 in his pocket, needing to rebuild his entire life. The pressure didn't break him, it built him. It demanded discipline, vision, courage, and relentless effort, and each time he rose to meet the pressure, he became stronger. Pressure isn't just about challenges, it's also about expectations. When people rely on you, when your work matters, when your decisions affect your future, you carry weight. That weight is pressure. But instead of seeing that responsibility as a burden, think of it as empowerment. Pressure means you matter. Pressure means your role is important. Pressure means you are trusted to handle something significant. And when you recognize that, the weight becomes fuel instead of fear. Another way pressure creates warriors is by training your emotional endurance. Life will put you in situations that overwhelm your mind and test your patience. There will be moments when you feel like you can't take any more, but each time you endure, your capacity increases. The ability to stay calm under pressure, to make decisions under pressure, to keep moving forward under pressure, that is a skill. And it's one of the most valuable skills you'll ever develop. Warriors aren't born emotionally strong. They are shaped through experiences that force them to control their reactions rather than be controlled by them. Pressure also demands focus. When the stakes are high, distractions fall away. You don't have time for nonsense. You don't have energy for excuses. Pressure pushes you into clarity because you must decide what matters most. You must choose priorities. You must commit. And in that process, you discover a level of focus you didn't know you had. Pressure removes the optional and exposes the essential. But perhaps the greatest gift of pressure is that it prepares you for the success you're aiming for. Big dreams come with big responsibilities. If you can't handle pressure at the bottom, you won't survive it at the top. The journey strengthens you so you can maintain the life you're building. Every challenge is training. Every setback is conditioning. Every difficult moment is preparation. The Rock's entire career is proof of this. The pressures he faced before fame were the very pressures that equipped him to handle fame. The truth is, pressure isn't going away. The more you grow, the more pressure you'll face. The more responsibility you take on, the heavier the weight becomes. But instead of fearing that, embrace it, celebrate it, recognize it as the sign of someone rising, not falling. When life increases your pressure, it's because life believes you're ready for more. So don't run from pressure. Don't collapse under it. Don't see it as a sign you're failing. See it as a sign you're progressing. See it as a sign that you're stepping into a bigger version of yourself. The world doesn't need people who avoid pressure. It needs warriors. People who can endure, adapt, and rise. People who don't fold when life gets tough. People who grow stronger, not weak or underweight. You are being shaped. You are being trained. You are being forged by the pressure you feel. Let it strengthen you. Let it build you. Let it turn you into the warrior your future requires. Because once pressure stops being something you fear, it becomes something you master. There is nothing you cannot conquer. There comes a moment in every journey where you realize that greatness isn't something you chase, it's something you grow into. It's the moment you understand that everything you've been searching for, strength, clarity, discipline, courage, was never out there in the world. It was always inside you, buried under doubt, fear, procrastination, excuses, and the noise of everyday life. And when you start peeling back those layers, when you begin stripping away everything that isn't you, something powerful starts to rise. That's the moment you stop running from your potential and start stepping into it. But that transformation only happens when you decide to stop negotiating with your comfort zone. Most people never meet their higher self because they never leave the version of themselves they've outgrown. They stay loyal to old habits, old environments, and old identities that no longer serve their purpose. It feels familiar, it feels safe. And even though it's slowly suffocating their dreams, they cling to it because change feels uncomfortable. But comfort is a silent killer. It doesn't break you suddenly. It erodes you little by little. Your confidence, your hunger, your ambition, until you wake up one day and realize you've spent years living as a shadow of who you were meant to be. Your next level demands a version of you that won't be found in the person you are today. It requires you to think differently, move differently, speak differently, and choose differently. It requires you to let go of the excuses you've been feeding yourself. It requires you to get uncomfortable, to walk into rooms where you're no longer the smartest person, to take on challenges that expose your weaknesses, to say yes to opportunities that scare you, and to invest in growth that doesn't give you instant results. That's the price of transformation. Pay it now, or pay with regret later. People talk a lot about motivation. As if motivation alone changes lives. It doesn't. It only gets you started. The real shift happens in the days you don't feel motivated at all. When you're tired, drained, frustrated, doubting yourself, overwhelmed, or questioning whether any of this is even worth it. Those moments define you. They sharpen you. They build your character. They force you to choose between who you've always been and who you're trying to become. And every single time you choose discipline over excuses, consistency over comfort, and purpose over distraction, you take a step closer to the life you were meant to live. Most people never experience the life they desire because they're too attached to the life that's comfortable. They want the results without the sacrifice. They want the growth without the changing. They want the reward without the discomfort. But elevation requires separation. Separation from the old mindset, the old habits, the old patterns, the old crowds, and the old limitations. And that separation will feel lonely, it will feel uncomfortable, it will feel like you're walking through a storm with no guarantee of sunshine. But storms teach you what calm never will. Storms develop you. Storms mold you. Storms expose strength you didn't know you had. You don't evolve by staying where you've always been. You evolve by pushing into unfamiliar territory, by challenging your own beliefs, by questioning the limits you've accepted for years. Growth doesn't come from success. Success comes from growth. And growth often looks like failing, trying again, stumbling, learning, unlearning, and keeping your vision alive even when everything around you seems to contradict it. There will be days when it feels like nothing is happening. Days when you feel stuck. Days when you want to give up. Those are the testing grounds. No one becomes strong without resistance. No one builds endurance without struggle. No one becomes their best self without confronting the parts of themselves they've avoided for years. The world will try to convince you that you're moving too slowly, that your dream is unrealistic, that you're aiming too high. Don't listen. You're not in competition with anyone else. You're in competition with who you were yesterday. You owe it to yourself to see how far you can go. You owe it to yourself to discover the version of you that exists on the other side of discipline, commitment, and resilience. You owe it to yourself to stop shrinking just to make other people comfortable. You owe it to yourself to break generational patterns, to become the example your younger self needed, to create a life that reflects your capacity instead of your fear. Stop living small. Stop dimming your light. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. The moment is now. The opportunity is now. The transformation begins now. Your future self is depending on the choices you make today. Every step you take, every sacrifice you make, every uncomfortable decision you embrace, it all compounds. It all adds up. And one day you'll look back and realize that the mountain you